This is like my first time doing it in multiple locations. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited to gather here today and talk to you about some new things that are underway here with Kick-Ass Enterprises and Keneal. Thanks for joining us. Really excited because this has been such a big journey in my own life that I have been working in such devotion to be able to share these things that I've learned with others at scale. COVID really presented an amazing opportunity to give me the time and headspace, and also to be able to hear how many people really want this, that I was able to take this huge leap of faith and find a way that I really think is the way to be able to engage this awesome community, which all of us are together, and to engage us in a very real, interactive, live way. I'm so excited to share with you the work that combines conscious leadership, the deepest of executive coaching practices, but applies it to you as a whole person and to your personal life. So first, a little bit about me and conscious leadership. So I got exposed to this particular work of conscious leadership a few years ago. And I have to say, I entered into it a physically different person. My stomach was like tighter, ever so slightly. It was imperceptible to me because I was so used to that. I was so used to this general level of anxiety, and also often like little twinges of sadness or disappointment or shame. Again, back then, if you had asked me, I would not have been able to say that that was what I was feeling. But then the work that I embarked upon as I became a real devoted student of conscious leadership, I found an opening. I found an ease. And I slowly, my experience of my own effort was it was slow, but the results in my life were quite rapid in terms of just organizing myself around living in a place that is high energy and natural for me, and really is designed to optimize for who I naturally am, who I authentically am when I'm at my best. It didn't take a lot of, thought process. This was very much an internal, natural, emergent kind of an experience. So I really, I immediately began infusing this into my own work as an executive coach. And, many of you here, you've been clients of mine, or you've been exposed to this work through one of my gatherings. And a lot of my work is focused on working with CEOs of venture-backed startups. And these are usually companies that are worth millions and billions of dollars. And as you can imagine, the need for a CEO to adjust his or her or their own self quickly as their company grows and evolves, that's a pretty intense need. And there's a huge payoff for them to do this kind of work. They also have tremendous resources at their disposal, right? They're backed by venture capitalists. Everyone on their team of champions and all of their key corporate stakeholders understand that investing in the CEO's growth is an investment in the entire future of the business. And so it's completely worth it for not just the money and the time, but also for the CEO to really go through the vulnerable experience of surrendering themselves to change and to growth. And the way that I like to approach that, because this is just my truth, is that each one of us is deeply lovable. Deeply, deeply, and purely lovable. And there's not a single part of us that is not purely lovable and made of love. So a lot of, coaching work comes at it like, there's something wrong with you. You need to be fixed. You need to get better. You need to improve. And I feel like each of us inherently has the keys to all of that wisdom. We already have it, but we often don't allow ourselves to hear it or to listen to it or to trust it. Partly because we have this big story that it must be harder than that. Like I must not have the right message. Something must be missing is kind of like one of my background, like shadow thoughts always, like something must be missing. In fact, like getting ready for this today, Heather, my head of operations, was reminding me nothing is missing. Because this is a pretty new thing for me to do, is to get on and do one of these lives. But these are the kind of thoughts that often hold us back. So I wanted to come up with a way to help us all together go through that journey. Community is so huge in terms of what is possible for us in growth. We are human animals, as my friend Beth Killa likes to say. We are human animals. We are herd animals, and we truly grow and develop in groups. So that's why what I'm about to tell you about is so exciting to me. This is also something that I feel COVID has opened it up for you, because we've all become accustomed to gathering online. It's something I've been doing for a really long time, but it's not something that everybody has been comfortable with. And some feedback I regularly hear from my customers is that they didn't know it was going to be possible to have trust in the level that they do, even within the first 10 minutes of being in one of these online gatherings with me. Once you have that level of trust, so much is possible in terms of learning and getting inspired and having a shared experience. So let me tell you, I've got a little outline here. I'm going to pull it up for myself, because I have some points I really want to make sure that I share with you. And this is also a video that I'm going to be recording and sharing later for reconsumption. So I want to be sure that I hit all the points and answer all of your questions as they come up. So I'm going to send a few waves to you guys. Thank you so much for being here and for listening in. And thanks for the sweet compliments, you guys. Oh, hi. Hi, Margot. My little niece of love, Margot, is here. So let's see. What I'm announcing today is Aloud Academy. My podcast is called Aloud. It's been live for about a year, almost a year and a half. And we are 60-something episodes deep. It's been such an amazing journey to have that show and have a way that I can easily encapsulate some of the key concepts and content and stories that are the ones that I typically are sharing at a pretty high price with my executive clients alone. So that's been such an exciting journey, and was super scary when I began. And it's kind of hard to believe that how far that's come. Since I launched Aloud, the podcast, I've had a lot of folks reaching out to me who are interested in going deeper and in having a more interactive experience with this content. And then they ask my prices, and it's often like there's not much else that I can offer. So about 12 months ago, we launched a program which has been called Forward Fearless. And this is an interactive, very intensive, super in-depth, intimate, this is a program for the bold and courageous. And I really, there's a lot of things that they need to achieve and accomplish together, and standards that they're held to. But there still hasn't been like a middle ground option for those who are really curious and want a deeper experience, but their life isn't one where right now it makes sense for them to sign up for the most intensive possible graduate level program of this kind of content. So from there, this new program was born, Aloud Academy. We have just began accepting signups, and you can learn more about that right now, and I'll tell you more about it here. You can learn more about it at Caneel.com/yes, and my name is spelled Caneel. It's an N like November. It's like a can of eel, which is a weird thing that you've probably never bought before, but that's how you spell it. It's phonetic. Caneel.com/yes. So this Aloud Academy program it's sort of set up like a membership. It's a mashup between a membership and a live interactive coaching program. And what you get to do when you're in this program is you're going to be gathering with a community of other leaders who are like you. We'll be doing that live twice a month. So the first time will always be a live interactive session with me. I'll guide you through a brief training of some kind, like learning about a concept or telling you a story, walking you through some sort of a new way of seeing the things that are going on in your life. And then I'll guide you through some sort of an interactive live exercise. So this might be that we're doing a workshop on something such as discovering your zone of genius, or getting into completion in your life. So looking at like all the areas where things are incomplete, literally going through your house and seeing what's incomplete, what are the projects that are incomplete, and then quickly guiding you through a process to help you get to a place where you are clean and things are reconciled and you let go of that which does not need to be done or done by you. So really freeing up a ton of your energy in that way. Other things that we are going to get into is like getting deeper into understanding all of the different parts of ourselves, like the different personas that are at play. Meaning, each of us has in us, an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, all of ourselves. And probably when we were those ages, there were like multiple expressions of that, right? There was the really cranky one and then the super love bug one. And getting to know those personas and how those play out in our daily lives is a huge piece of walking through the world and just noticing, who's trying to be heard right now, and what can I, as the grown-up, do to listen and to really heed what they want and use their wisdom to guide me. And also, is that the person that I want to be driving the bus that is me right now? Or is there somebody else that I could bring on board who would be maybe a more thoughtful choice for who is needed to come forward here in this current situation? So these are the types of concepts that we're going to be learning and workshopping together in this program. During that time, you're going to get to interact with the other leaders here. I'm going to send you into little breakout groups. A lot of these will be optional interactive activities. So if this fits your lifestyle better to be, participating by voice and listening in while you're doing your gardening or your housekeeping, or you're getting some stuff done. And then when you're wanting to drop in, like, it's designed for that, so that you can really use this to suit where you are in your life. Again, I have this more intensive program, and that's the one that's burnt. Like it's a certain way. This one is really designed to be for the curious and for those who want to connect. So some of the value comes from me in that live interactive session, and some of it comes from the content. Some of it comes just being together. A lot of it comes from you gathering with the others who have also said, I'm a curious person by nature. I have a desire for some reason right now. I'm really feeling like I want to learn more about myself, and there's some stuff to unpack. There's some big change I'm wanting to make, or I feel kind of stuck, right? It's this, I'm looking for a shift in my life, and it doesn't need to be a dramatic thing. A lot of my clients and those who love these programs the most are just kind of chronic, like self-help, self-development learning junkies. I know a lot of people who have read every leadership book in the world, and I know a lot who haven't read any, but it's the thirst for discovering more. And that it's such a fun ride to be on, to get to learn more about life and to experience it from different angles in a way that's really in service of not just you, but of the people who are around you in your life and of the world at large. Like, I really, really believe, and I have seen with my own eyes way more times than I can count, that investing in our own self-growth is truly a vote and a big investment in addressing the larger problems that we face as a society and as a planet. So once we're freed up from a lot of the drama that we tend to live in, and this is a big topic we talk about in this program, we're now freeing up our creative life energy and our unique set of gifts, the ones that if we die, the planet will never have access to them again. Like that unique, what Gail Larson called our original medicine. Freeing that up is what is needed from each of us en masse at a massive scale, so that we can actually address the big, humongous, sexy, awesome challenges that are ahead of us together. 3 that are really near and dear to me are reversing climate change, supporting women and girls, which, by the way, is one of the number one levers for reversing climate change. It's part of the reason I care about that. And then like providing equal access to creative and entrepreneurial opportunities. So these are 3 pieces of my own personal mission. And I know that when we invest in what we actually are, like in our core essence, and we free that up and we stop holding ourselves back, now those gifts are available to serve whatever's in front of us. The other thing is, this kind of work is really, really fun. So going back to the format of this program, I talked about how there's going to be 2 live interactive sessions each month. One will be with me. The second one will be either with me doing a deep dive into some juicy topic where you're going to get to do some workshopping and to learn, or it will be with a live guest. This is actually a taste of being a live audience member of my podcast, Aloud. So a lot of you here listen to the podcast, and I see you guys showing up. Thank you so much. And thanks for waving. You show up to that podcast and you listen. And I know that many of you actually stop what you're doing. You engage, you even take notes. You do the workshop stuff. You come and get the downloadables at allowedpodcast.com. And you get to have that live coaching experience. So this is a chance for you to be in the audience as we record the podcast. And these are pretty brief, high level overview of a concept that's really important in my view as a building block for unlocking a whole new way of seeing your own life and living your own experience. After that little 15-minute segment, those who are not members are going to depart, and we're going to go into a private room together. And that's where we're going to get to dive deep into that content that you just got to learn about live. And we're going to workshop it. We're going to apply it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to just ask, how does that apply to me? What can I do with that? We're going to get some action items. And those will be for you to really create and us to co-create together as we coach and challenge and inspire each other. So this is a great way to get to know people who share your desire to get to know yourself and to be the very best person that you can be, but really to have the experience you want to have in your own skin. And to make that more concrete, I want you to think about a time when, hi Jackie, when you were showing up in a way that was so effortless for you, but also so exhilarating and, valuable. I think of it as these are times where I've really brought my whole self to what I'm doing. And there was like a buzzing, like a humming feeling inside of me that this is really me bringing the best of who I am to life. It could also feel like this is really me experiencing the best of life inside of myself. And this is an experience of being in flow. It's an experience of being in your own unique zone of genius. So I was talking earlier about being, really being the instrument, being the person who brings forward all of this doingness, right? And learning about who am I and what can I strip away that I've been trying to do and accomplish that actually holds me back from being that brilliant self that comes so effortlessly to me. And we call that being in your zone of genius. And in practice, it's actually a very embodied state. It's a feeling. It's a sensate feeling. So when I'm in that state, I can bring my gifts. And that's a process that is going to be the first 3 months of your experience in the Aloud Academy. So I'm going to pause there because I'm going to take you through the process in the first 3 months as a rite of passage for everyone to discover what your unique zone of genius is, your original medicine. And there are many steps in that process. It's extremely fulfilling and inspiring. I've heard people say that they've changed their entire life and career once they understood their zone of genius. Some of them have completely changed industries and jobs. Some of them have actually found that they didn't need to. Maybe they thought they needed to before, but in fact, they were able to access their unique zone of genius right there in their current role because they understood which gifts they could bring into their work, whatever their work was, to get that effortless, high energy sense of aliveness where they can so easily bring their gifts to what they're doing and create value in a way that has always come naturally to them. So that's the first 3 months. I want to pause here and take a few comments and questions and just see what else you want to learn about. Okay, I see David here. Hi, David. Saying he also has felt like something was always missing, like he forgot something. David, I don't know if you've done the Enneagram, if you've typed yourself on the Enneagram personality system, but this is one of my favorite tools. In the Enneagram, there are 9 different personality types. This is also a process that we'll go through in the program. And whenever you join, it's part of getting to go through it. And I'm a type 4. So the type 4, and there's 9 types altogether. Type 4 has a belief something's always missing. And each of these 9 types has their own kind of sneaky little shadowy belief that has been part of, it's almost like a tape that's been playing in your head your whole entire life, so much that you don't even hear it. It's like white noise. It's like the air you breathe. And then once you discover your Enneagram type, you now can notice that voice. And that voice is always the voice that's the one that scares you and holds you back and trips you up. And it's a very sneaky, it's like a snake. And then learning, oh, that's just that thing that I keep thinking is a legitimate thought and might be true, and maybe I need to believe it, is actually just me being my own Enneagram type. And so now I can kind of hold that more lightly. Okay, I'm walking around, I feel like something's missing, like I don't have the guidebook. Why was everyone else given the guidebook and I wasn't given the guidebook? And actually, I'm just like, that's just me being a type 4. That feeling's going to be here sometimes. Doesn't mean it's true. Like a big piece of conscious leadership is about questioning our stories, like noticing the stories that we're telling ourselves and questioning them. And so the Enneagram is such a huge tool for that. So I'm really excited for you guys to learn that. Let's see, what other questions and comments do we have here? All right, so we are multicasting this. So we're here on a few different places on Facebook and on YouTube. So I'm just going to look at the list of questions that we have here across all of those. Yeah, so somebody's asking, they've gone to the Keneal.com/yes site and are asking, is there a minimum commitment? No. So a lot of my programs have a minimum commitment. This one does not. This is a pure month-to-month, pay as you go program. This is not a year long like my intensive program. This is not 6 months long like my executive coaching program. Almost always it goes much longer than that. This is a month-to-month. This is designed to suit you and to be casual. The material is as intense as you want it to be. And I will be providing you with further resources for those who want to dive really deep. But this is not something that involves homework. I actually personally don't love having homework, but I know a lot of people really love having homework. So instead, the way that I've structured it is when you show up, I will be guiding you live through a process, and then you're done. And if you don't want to engage more, you don't. And if you can't attend the actual live, you watch it on the video. And if you want to miss a week, you miss a week. This is a zero guilt opportunity for you to be able to access a deeper, richer experience of learning than would be possible on a podcast. It's not possible on a YouTube video to have the same kind of connection and be able to ask your questions live and get live coached if you want to, or just sit back and then join a breakout room, or just sit there and listen while you do something else. Like, I get it. I like to live my life with as few unnecessary agreements as possible. And so I really, really want to design this for you, for those who are curious, who want a little bit more, and maybe they want to connect. And for those who want a lot more, that opportunity is there too. So it's really designed to scale. So no, there's no minimum commitment. It's just month to month, and you cancel anytime you want to. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this really explicitly before. So the first 50 members who join will be deemed our founding members. And the founding membership council is going to have additional opportunities to help shape the program, to ask for the content they want, to say, hey, I've heard this guest on a podcast. I really want that person to be one of the guests who's guest coaching in this program. Bring them in. This is definitely your one-stop shop for, all you can eat, cutting edge, the best of personal growth, self-discovery, leadership thinking, whole life, whole person psychology, all of those topics that are really about the interface between how we think about ourselves and our own experience, and then how that connects to the rest of life itself, the rest of the world, source, other human beings, relationships, community, culture. It's that interface there that's the one that I find most interesting. So you'll be able to bring in, I read this book by this author who I would love for you to bring them in here on the show. And then as members, we're going to get to have those deep dive experiences together. And I'm going to get to ask them a question or get live coach or just be able to sit there knowing it's just me and my community who's listening right now. It's a really, really cool opportunity. And I've had a lot of coaches and authors and thought leaders reaching out to me to be part of this. So I'm looking for the founding members to give me some feedback and help really shape this into the program that you want. I'll be asking you for additional feedback too, and you get a big discount for being a founding member, because I want to get this thing filled up quickly and have us be, in a certain level of fullness. So I think that, there's definitely a good percentage of those founding memberships that are accounted for at this point, but there still are some available right now, as of last I've checked. So looks like you can, go to Keneal.com/yes, and you can sign up there to be a founding member. And then once the 50 members has passed, my team is going to update the website and make sure that it's indicating that. Either way, I'll always be reaching out to you for feedback. This founding membership thing is a special thing, and it's just for the beginning, and then you lock in that low price for life also. Let's see. Second question. What if I can't attend live? All good. All of the recordings will be posted for viewing at your leisure. And we will also be posting additional materials. If you're interested in diving deeper into a topic, then you'll have access to worksheets, exercises. We'll point you to different podcasts, including Aloud, which is my podcast, and other podcasts, other materials, other trainings, other events, online events. And then once COVID has lifted, other events that are live throughout the world. I've got a really amazing network of the most brilliant and inspiring coaches and thought leaders and leaders that are just so inspiring to me and have taught me so much. It's like humbling how much I have learned through these people. So I'm so excited for you to get to meet them and interact with them. And all of that will be available to you to consume whenever and if ever you want to. Again, it's a zero guilt type of an opportunity. I think this is a good program for you if you're looking to make a shift and you want to have something that helps provide some momentum. Or it's also a good program for you if there's not a specific shift that you're wanting to make. If you're a person who's curious, who's curious about your own spirituality, about your own zone of genius, about your personal growth and development. If you're a person who likes to be stretched and to discover more and to really, drop into your heart and learn what's there. I really consider myself an artist first and foremost, and my art is working with people. And that's an art that I am excited to share with you. And I also see each of you as artists, truly. So I really believe everyone is fundamentally at our hearts. We are just love and creativity. And so my goal is for us to share the cool experience of remembering that together. And to get to be there as, we forget and remember and forget and remember. Oh yeah, that's right. That's what I'm all about. I am a lovable person. I am purely creative. I can and do create what I want. And it's very fun to wake up together to that, and knowing that also part of the human experience is the forgetting, and that we're going to forget those things, and that's we can rely on that. That's predictable, and it's lovely and beautiful and juicy and dark and deep, and we can, and there's no better or worse place to be. But getting to be in a community means that when we want to wake up to it again, we have people who are there who have seen us and who can remind us of that. Okay, so I just said seen us. I realized I'm a very much see and be seen kind of person. I am not shy in front of a camera. I'm not shy on a stage. I love being like performing and the interface here. And this program is designed for people who are not like that. So you will have an opportunity to be camera on, live interactive if you want to. And also, I know that there's tons of value, and often sometimes more value, in being a witness to that rare person who does want to be life coached and out there and seen. I will not be like calling on you if you don't want to participate. I'm really honored that this is a thing that you might be doing while you're gardening. That's how I do a lot of my stuff. So I don't want to, scare anyone away with that. But I get excited when I think about those of you who are going to want to be live coached. I really get excited thinking about that, because I know that, your learning is our learning. And there have been so many times in my online group programs where I've seen one person is the one who's willing to volunteer that day to be coached, and everyone else learns just as much, if not more than that person, simply by witnessing it. As a witness, I'll also be still guiding you and interacting with you and posing questions for you to think about on your own, or even to share with the group if you want to, about what you learned about yourself in that process. Let's see. What topics will I be covering? Thanks for asking. Okay, we'll be covering, the list is endless, because this is a program that will be continuing in perpetuity. Some of the ones I know for sure we're covering. So the first 3 months of everybody's experience is going to be discovering your unique zone of genius. And I've got some folks who are here in the live right now. Hi, Alex, who have gone through that process of discovering their zone of genius. And it's a really life-giving experience, is what I've heard repeatedly, that it's something that changes your life. So I'll be guiding you through a process of simply following some step-by-step instructions, answering some questions, and I won't have you do this as homework. I'm going to have you do this live. You're going to be sitting there live, like writing stuff on pen and paper, typing it up, whatever, and thinking about the answer to these questions. But I'm not going to give you tons of time to do it, because I really don't want it to feel like a burden. And I also know that what's most important is that you are in flow when you do this. So I will keep you in flow, and you will be responding, and you'll learn what your zone of genius is and what you can do with that information. And this is a big, important piece of being in this community, is having discovered that. So that's going to be the first 3 months of your experience, regardless of when you join. We'll also be covering the fundamentals of conscious leadership. So raise your hand or give a little heart or something if you are already a listener of the Aloud podcast. Okay, great. Yeah. So a lot of the content there on the Aloud podcast, yeah, lots. Thank you. That's a lot of it is centered on conscious leadership. It goes broader than that. It weaves things together in a specific way. But this concept of conscious leadership means that there are different states that we can exist in, and fundamentally there are two. We could either be above the line, where we're in a state of trust and curiosity, creativity, ease, and flow. Basically, we're present. And I break it down like that because often we hear that word present and we think about a punishingly boring, sitting still, meditating on a mountain alone, kind of stoicism. Presence is actually a state of full aliveness. It's a state of like total creativity, access to all things, and a state of trust and ease. So even if not everything goes our way, we hold all of that so lightly that it's we play with whatever comes our way. And we lean into the challenges as, what is this here to teach me? How did I help to create this even? How can I grow and change through this experience? Not because growing and changing is needed or important or anything. It's because that's what life does. Life grows us and it changes us. And so being present means we are in our full aliveness. So contrast that with the second state of being, which is I'm being in a state of threat. This is where I'm in fear. We've heard this distinction between leading through love versus leading through fear. So the leading through fear piece feels like either I'm a victim, I'm powerless. I need help. I don't have what I need. Or it could be I'm numbing myself out, and I'm unwilling and unable to be in my own life and in my own experience, and I have to get away from my own feelings and do things that are self-destructive or other destructive. Or the third option, and by the way, I'm taking you through the drama triangle right now. So we did victim and hero. The third option would be I'm in a state of blame. So, we all get into these states like all day long, every day. It's human nature, and it's not wrong or bad. But that state of blame is the one where we are criticizing or judging others or something else or everything else, or we're judging and blaming and criticizing ourselves. So this distinction here between this state of trust versus the state of threat, or we might call it above and below the line, this is the fundamental reality of how humans experience life. And we're going to be diving into that as I get into the topic of conscious leadership. So this is where you're going to learn how to recognize when you're in drama and when you're inviting more drama into your life. And the way that you'll know is the same issues that you claim not to want. They keep coming up, keep coming up, keep coming up. They recycle. It seems like I changed jobs or changed boyfriends. And actually here again is the same exact challenge. It seems like it's the same person. How is that? Has anyone had that experience before? The issues keep recycling. And that's what it is like. That's the experience that we create when we're operating from that powerless place of being below the line. So in this conscious leadership portion of your program, I'll be teaching you about how to recognize that and then how to find out if you're willing to shift above the line. And very much like my podcast is called Allowed, I allow you to be wherever you want to be. There truly is no good or bad place to be with regard to these two states of being, or at all, really. So the essence of it is, can I get to know where I am right now and hold it so lightly that it can change, and hold it so lightly that I can even discover if I want it to change. Maybe I don't. Sometimes I'm deeply committed to staying below the line, and I'm really quite sure that someone or something is to blame, or I'm really sure that there's nothing I can do about this and I'm powerless, or I'm like hell-bent on, eating and drinking my way into numbness so that I don't have to feel all of my suffering of being a live human being. However it is that you're being is perfectly allowed. And that is the cool thing. That is like my favorite thing of this work of conscious leadership. All right, so back to this question of what topics are covered. So I talked about zone of genius, conscious leadership. We'll be covering myriad topics related to personal growth at large. One of my favorites is shadow. So shadow, these are the parts of ourself that we disown, deny, or repress. So we either act like that's not part of us, like that's not how we are, or we try to hide it, or we disown it. We say that's actually you, and this is called projection. This is like, you spot it, you got it. So I might have some negative thoughts about myself that I am, let me see, what are some real ones here? Disorganized. That's a big thought I have about myself. But if I weren't willing to like feel and think that, and actually this is true for me. Yeah. When I'm operating in a reactive mode and I'm being less conscious and I am being more below the line, I begin seeing how everyone around me is really disorganized. But you spot it, you got it. So really, like, it's a fair bet that if I see it out there, it's actually true over here. So, and when that happens and I have this negative judgment, like I'm disorganized, I shouldn't be disorganized. That's just me being in my shadow. So what do I do with that? What I do with that is I come and I say, is it so bad to be disorganized? How is it actually of service to be disorganized? How do I actually want to be? Am I even disorganized? Is that even true? So I'm so grateful for some of the coaches and teachers that I've worked with who have really helped me to look at this piece of my shadow and to recognize that it's not that I'm disorganized. It's that I don't need the same level of order as others do. I am in flow with chaos. I'm highly creative. I like to change things up, and that's just me. Now, do I love being organized? Absolutely. Do I like how I feel when I pinch myself and say, I need to be disorganized? I need to be organized. I should be organized. That blamey piece does not feel good. So when we work on shadow, you're going to get to learn which thoughts you've always had about yourself, or maybe haven't been willing to feel about yourself, but you see them everywhere else. Which ones of those are just pieces of you that are waiting to be loved? It sounds kind of cheesy, but truly, if there is a piece of us that we haven't accepted, we're gonna be in chaos and blame and drama with that all over the place. And all of it is, it's not that we're bad for doing that. We're humans. This is what humans do. There are very good reasons that we do that. And at some point in our adulthood, it's about, can I hold that part out in front of me and learn to lean into the strengths and the lovability of that? That is the biggest growth opportunity. Because if you think like half of me is in the light, half of me is in shadow, once I can say, I'm going to take that half, I'm going to bring it out here, I'm going to shine some light on it, and I'm going to integrate it. How do I integrate it? I love it. I find all of the parts that are lovable about that. And then I take the parts that are still not lovable and I figure out how they're lovable. It's an awesome, I'd say it's pretty deep type of a concept. And there's an opportunity to do some really deep, intimate work with that. And it's also a concept that even just understanding it intellectually, you'll suddenly begin to see it all over the place. And that is so helpful for when you are noticing someone around you is being reactive. And how can you sit in a place that is compassionate, that's not saying everything about what you're doing is okay, but it's, even though I don't like what you're doing necessarily, you are lovable, right? I have compassion for you. I'm like that too sometimes. Sometimes I get triggered. Sometimes I project. Sometimes I'm in my shadow. Wow, how much peace that gives you, and how much greater access to be the kinds of human beings that we want to be. And I know that all of us are here because we do fundamentally believe that. We do fundamentally believe that when we can lead in our own lives from a place of love, that's the version of us that is at its full aliveness. We're also going to learn about emotional intelligence. So what I mean by that is, we're going to learn to recognize the emotions that we're feeling, but also we're going to learn how to honor, love, understand, and leverage any emotion that comes up. So I like to talk about 5 basic emotions. Joy. Most people want joy. They like joy. Fear. Most of us shy away from fear. Anger. A lot of us have a lot of shoulds around anger. I should not be angry. I shouldn't look angry. I shouldn't act angry. I shouldn't get angry, right? Sadness. Boy, our culture here in the United States certainly likes to avoid sadness. And a lot of drama comes from the avoidance of sadness. So we're going to learn how to honor those ones. The last one is one of my faves, and it's very seldom talked about, and I call it desire. You could also, it's connected to creativity, sexual energy. It's connected to inspiration, awe, and it's connected to ambition, like wanting to get things done in the world, wanting to let new things happen and to create. And that's one of my favorites, in part because it's not recognized very much, but also because it's the essence of our aliveness. So those are the 5 basic emotions, and we're going to learn about how to recognize which ones we're feeling and how to lean into the gifts of each and every one of those. The idea being none of them is better or worse than the other. So yes, we want to feel joy. We want to feel our desire. We want to feel fully alive and at peace. But the thing is, when we're trying to avoid specific emotions, and we think that one emotion is necessarily much better than the other one, then we actually are just putting a damper entirely on our own emotional intelligence and our own emotional experience. And then we don't get to have those gifts of the other ones. So I'm going to help each of you learn how to feel safe, completely allowing the emotions to move through you and reach their completion within about 60 seconds. So imagine if sadness lasted 60 seconds, or anger. Imagine if you could sit in any conversation and allow any topic to come up and produce any emotion and feeling within you, and it was not a problem. And you were able to sit with it, and instead of getting wrapped up in it, allow it to be there as another guest in the room while you are perfectly consciously listening. Think of how many conversations that you're now potentially avoiding or trying to control or shape or limit because you anticipate feeling a certain emotion that you have said is not allowed. So I know that all of those emotions really are wise and helpful and in service of us, and they are guides, and how to listen in for the emotions. We're also going to learn about how we create our own emotions and how we can create different emotions when we want a different emotional experience. Of course, the first thing comes first, like we allow our emotions, and now from that place, now we can actually ask ourselves, what do I want to create? Because we're not reactive anymore. So that's another topic that we'll be covering here. Let's see, I'll just list a few more and then I'll take another question. We'll be covering mindfulness practices. So I've got an amazing breathwork coach, teacher, guru who's going to be coming in and doing some morning practices with us. This is, wow, like powerful, crazy experiences possible with breathwork, and really fundamentally can change your whole entire experience of being alive through your nervous system, and how quickly we can actually change our nervous system. So that's one of these practices. We'll be doing some embodiment stuff, some yoga. It's just a way to get a taste of different topics when we have these different guests on. As I mentioned, we'll be doing Enneagram together. And then also, I'm really leaning into always leaving space in any given month to what are you wanting? So you truly will have a direct line to me to be able to ask for any topic that you want to have covered, and we'll get that done. Let's see. Okay. I think we're almost done with this one for today. I'm going to be having community gatherings here. So if this was interesting to you and you'd like to be invited to one of our community gatherings, you can do that. These are invite-only experiences, and you can sign up for an invite. And I've got it here, I think, in the caption. Yeah, if you go to Keneal.com, let's see, get the correct link for you here. Okay, so there is a link in the description to this live message, and I realize it's not here on Instagram. So it's a bit.ly link. I will post it into the comments of this video right after we wrap up so that you can click directly on it. It's bit.ly/3. It's too long. I don't want to even read this. So you'll be able to click on that, get invited. If you're at a loss, go to Keneal.com/yes. You can learn more and sign up for Aloud Academy there. I would love to have you in. If you're curious about this and this excites you in some way, then that means that this is an opportunity for you. So one of the things I'm a firm believer in is that when we follow our creative energy, which is a form of that desire feeling I talked about, that sexual energy, the creative impulse that we have as humans. When we follow that, it leads us to the right next thing. And that's the only step that I'm ever worried about. So just go ahead and sign up. It's not a big commitment. I want you to be in, and I want you to get to join as a founding member. And thank you so much for being here today. Again, I will post the link to get invited at in the comments here. You can become a member at Keneal.com/yes. That's it. Thanks. Send me any questions that you have. If you were watching this video not live, you're welcome to post any questions you have, and I will get back to you. And I hope that you join our community events soon. This is structured after the dinners for conscious leaders that I used to do before COVID happened. So we're going to be actually moving those online and having gatherings for conscious leaders and a brunch, and bringing different experts in. So please join those. Those are free. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.